Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for a conversation with travelers, destinations, and small, unique experiences. So I'm excited to chat with Gerrit of hiddenholland.com today. Have him share about the tours he does and some of the other opportunities for going to Holland. So welcome, Gerrit.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Thank you. So just start from the beginning. What inspired you to start Hidden Holland?
Oi, big question. So the thing is, creating itinerary has always been my thing. I love doing this. For my family and friends, they always come to me. I always know these spots. And off camera, we talked a little bit about that. I spent a lot of time in California when I was younger,
Yeah.
and kind of well now it's 25 years later. But for years after, my friends that I made in LA would contact me for fun things to do in LA because I knew them, even though I was a foreigner. So that was always a thing for me. And when I am in Amsterdam, Amsterdam is a city with over tourism. It's a big issue, just like the other, like Paris or Barcelona, but Amsterdam is small. So you kind of have
Yeah.
to think that from a perspective of like 8 tourists to one local.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Wow.
yes, so that is a problem. And then also you see when you get in it, when you arrive in Amsterdam, everybody goes to the same areas and stays in the same streets. And and it made me so sad. And then they were sitting at these tourist restaurants, with menus in 5 languages. And I'm thinking, oh, there's this wonderful restaurant right behind this street. If you would have only moved over one more street or two. So that was always in the back of my mind. So then I started to dabble with the idea, like, can I create a website where I can help people learn about the country, see
Yeah.
things, go outside of Amsterdam also because it's a beautiful country and we have beautiful cities. We also know, of course, for the tulips, and that's also wonderful, but it's a very short period in the year. Then we have all these museums and Rembrandt and Vermeer that a lot of people also like to come for. But then again, they go to the Amsterdam museums, and there's so much more to explore outside of it. Like nobody knows, like the second largest Van Gogh collection in the world is in a museum in a national park in the Netherlands, about an hour and a half from Amsterdam. So just knowing these things and being able to see that makes your trip so much better. And it also helps with an 8 to 1 tourist
Yeah.
to local ratio in the city itself. So like neighborhoods outside of the city center, that are upcoming and trendy and have these wonderful restaurants. So my whole goal and idea was to build something that people would, yeah, get past that first street and the first canal boat they see outside of Central Station and go to the red light district, but actually experience the beautiful city that you see on those marketing photos when you book your
Right.
flight tickets, right? And they show you these beautiful canals. And I had people, because I also started to do, and now I'm moving maybe a little bit ahead of myself, but with consultation calls, and people said to me, "I've been to Amsterdam before, but I did not see the Amsterdam on those photos." So that was a great starting point for me to say, "Okay, let's make sure you do the next time you come, because it's there, but you need to find it."
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's how I started.
So you do actually offer tours as well, right? Am I
I do. I started with a website first, and advising people on their itineraries. And then actually, this is a few years now ago, from a customer that booked one of those itinerary calls, and she said, "But I really like, I feel I connected with you. I really enjoy you as a person. We're looking for a private tour guide. Can it be you?" So I
Yeah.
started to look into this and see if what that would entail if I could do it, and it just sounded really really fun. So I started developing tours that I know a lot about, that I can share a lot with people, and from a very different angle, because just like in the city where I felt I was so disappointed to see where tourists actually ended up, it was the same thing kind of with tours in Amsterdam. Because it is such a tourist destination, this is very commercialized and very made. It's been made very efficient.
Right.
So it's really like get 60 people together as fast as possible, follow the umbrella, get them in a bus, 4 hours, at least an hour in a tourist shop on the way because they pay for it, or a tourist restaurant, and then they have 90 minutes free time. And I thought, that's not really traveling. So how can I create more bespoke, more custom, and so I also made the decision to do private only. But make people see the Netherlands that I see as a local.
Yes,
And
yeah.
of course you want to go to the highlights, and we go to the highlights, but then we go like to the neighborhood right behind it, and then we go to the village a few
Yes.
miles further where nobody comes, where the tour buses don't even fit,
Right.
and that has been, now it's the biggest part of my business doing those tours, and I have to say the most enjoyable part also. It's
Oh, I
never the same.
bet.
You
Yeah.
meet every time new people. I always try to make it personal. So one of the things that I do is I first get on a call with people always when they book a tour with me. So we can just chat a little bit, and I already get a feel like, who are you? What is your interest? Why did you chose to come to this country? And I always hear something that I think, oh, we're not going to go to this village this time, but we go here because they would
Yes.
love it, because they have some kind of connection with that place, or they enjoy boats, or
Right.
maritime, or something specific to a person that I can connect to. Or in like the Rijksmuseum, it's a museum, it's our national museum with 82 different rooms.
Wow.
Like people just get lost in there and get overwhelmed and just leave with a headache. So it's really wonderful to connect with people and learn about their interests and their hobbies. And I'm like, oh, you love, building model ships. I know this room with all these boats. You
Yes.
love to go, treasure hunting. Some people do with like these metal detectors. I know this treasures they found from the sea bottom room. That's where you need to go. Or you love jewelry. You need to go to this room. So you make it personal. There were two teenagers that came along, and they were so not interested. They were like, how long do we need to be there? And when can we go
Yeah,
shopping?
right, exactly.
And then I saw a cat moving behind them, and I said, "Hey, you like cats?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I love cats." And and I'm so sad that we have to leave. I have to leave my cat when we travel. But did you know they have this wonderful cat paintings in the Rijksmuseum? You should check them out. You can find them here. So then they were like, "Oh, now we want to go." So that's how I really wanted to do it differently and make it a lot more personal for people.
Right. Oh, I
So
love that.
yeah.
That's exactly what I love. So, are there certain times of year that are especially unique or magical, or are you leading groups offering tourism like year round? Talk a little bit
So I
about
do
that.
tours year round. And
Okay.
I think with this country, it is a tiny country on a map. And I think that's the first mistake people make. They think it's so small, they can literally do it in half a day. And then they can move to Paris and London and do all of these things. The Netherlands is so densely packed with beautiful little cities, medieval, old city centers you want to explore. Every city a different angle. They're not all a copy of the other. And then there's all these museums and all these seasonalities, which make, so it really depends why you're coming.
Hmm.
When is the right time for you? There is not like Ireland, you need to come in the summer because it rains the rest of the
Yeah.
year and you freeze to death. The Netherlands is a little bit different because you don't come for a nature trip 9 out of 10 times. So the seasonality is less important, but it is from different perspectives. So, for example, we're known for the tulips.
Yes.
So if you want to see the tulips, the mistake people make with a famous flower garden, and they are open for 2 months of the year. So already you need to be in that 2 month window. But it's not the tulip season. It is the flower garden season, and they grow it specifically to extend the season. So it's 2 months in there, but it's 3 weeks in nature. So if you want to see those big endless fields that you see on a photo in your airline magazine, you need to be there in those 3 weeks. So, and that's kind of like a golden week. It's the final week of April, because then almost certain they bloom, because sometimes they're a little bit early or late, but that final week of April is when they're absolutely there. There's also King's Day during that week, which is a great spectacle where the whole country turns orange and party and have these canal boats, and people are on the water, and it's really fun. So if you can be there, it's amazing. but it's also the most busiest week, the most
Right.
expensive week. So if tulips is not your jam, do not come the last week of April. So it's really different for what your goal is. If you really are an art lover and really come for the museums, the Rijksmuseum and the Van Gogh museums are so popular that Van Gogh can sell out 3 to 4 weeks in advance, and the Frank House too, if you want to go see that. So if that's your reason of traveling, come in the off season. January and February are amazing. There's nobody there. Well, that's relative. It's all Amsterdam's always busy, but you can literally be with an early time slot. You can be with Vermeer or the Night Watch, pretty much by yourself and the security guards. If you get there like 9 a.m. on a February morning, if you try the same thing in August, it's 8 rows. you
Wow.
know so you need to fight your way through to get there. There so it's I'm trying to say there is a good season uh, for everybody, but it's a different season also for everybody. August is amazing for events. So the Pride Month, August, Amsterdam is one of the most unique prides where they celebrate on the canal. So it's with boats instead of just
Right.
vehicles that come by through the street. So it's a very unique experience. So if that's something you enjoy be part of, you want to come in August. But August is also the month that all of Southern Europe has their holiday leave. So all of France, Spain, and
Oh,
Italy is there, and it's very hard to find accommodations. So you really kind of with this country have to think about your goals and then find the right spot. We have, just like New England, amazing fall foliage that people don't think about. But
yeah.
we do have it. So if you come in like late September, beginning of October, it can be spectacular to be on the train and see all
Oh,
those
wow.
colors, or go to this, well, I just we talked about that second largest Van Gogh collection at National Park. If those colors change, wow,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know
that would be
so then that's your
stunning.
season. So if you want to come for photos, then that's the best time to come. So it really depends, and that's what I also really like to explore with people on my website or through my itinerary calls, to see, hey, what's the right time for you.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful. So is there seasons? You've kind of touched on that. What
Mhm.
about you mentioned these busy times, it's going to be more expensive, which is
Yeah.
I have the same thing with people coming to New England. That is the most expensive time. So if
Yeah.
someone is on a budget, what are some months that you think are kind of still, they're going to enjoy being outside, but also, their pocketbook is going to be happy and kind of get the best of
Right.
both worlds.
So March, for example, weather-wise is already a good month. Just look up the opening day for the flower park, Kukenhof it's
Oh,
called. If you come before the opening of the flower park, it's still relatively inexpensive. Price go up as soon as Kukenhof opens.
oh,
And
interesting.
then September also is kind of a nice month because all those Europeans go home again and go back to school. So that takes a lot of the pressure off the city. And September still is nice weather-wise. But if weather is not really your biggest concern and the museums is your thing and you want to be indoors, which a lot of people actually do, and it's worth
Yeah.
it, then really January and February you cannot get like a better price. And also space to move around. So if your main goal for is museums, definitely consider winter time because nobody else does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have snow, and it's not the
I was
North
just
Pole. I
gonna
mean,
I was gonna
no,
ask if you get actually snow on the ground, snow on the roads, that kind of
it's
thing.
possible, but usually we have temperatures, in January, February in the 40s, 50s.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's very much okay. It gets a little bit more rainy and the days are short because we are um, north on the map, further up north than people think. Like people always think like Canada is far up north,
Yeah.
but if you then look on the globe, you see that it's actually quite south. If you take the line to Europe, and then Netherlands is higher, so it gets dark at like 5 p.m., for example. So you do need to take it into consideration, but you do get a lot of value and you get amazing museum visits. So again, I think weather-wise, if you want nice weather, you want kind of like on the not in the off season, but not in the high season, then March and September. If you really want to get away from the crowds and you want to save some extra money, consider January, February. Um, or there must be, if it's a bucket list item to see the tulips, you need to accept it, let it go, book way in advance, and just enjoy it.
Yes.
Because it is magical,
Oh, it is.
and it's worth the money. So yeah, then a hotel is $300 a night. That is what it is. But then you do see it. So it really depends.
Yeah, and seeing
Yeah.
the garden, I must say, is a once in a lifetime experience. I mean, just the amount of hours they spend planting all those bulbs
Right.
and the change of the tulips from these little tiny tulips to like just the I mean, it's just stunning. It's even better that's a destination that's even better than the photos. You can't even capture it all.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You can save all the money in the world by coming in February, but then you will not have that experience, and it's something you take with you,
Right.
right? So it's worth it. Uh, my tulip tour, what I really like to do, for example, I take people to the garden really early. It opens very early in the morning. The regular tours, the buses will not come there that time of the day. It opens at 8 in the morning.
Oh,
So I say
wow.
to people, okay, if you're gonna book this with me, um, you're not a princess or prince that day. We gotta go early and we're gonna work for it, but you gotta have an amazing experience. So we go 8, and then you get the garden pretty much by
Oh, yeah.
yourself. The tour bus is not there. You can really see the flowers. You can be with them, and then we leave. And then I take people up north, also where the tour buses don't go, because it's interesting. It's kind of a long story, so I will try to tell it short. But tulip seed growing is like a 2-year process. First year it's the bulb,
Hmm.
developing the bulb, and the next year it is for commercial growing, so you can buy tulips. And the area around the garden is for that second year because the ground there is specifically really well suited for the final year to get them in the supermarkets in the best quality possible. But if you buy your tulips in the supermarkets, they do not flower yet. So they cut them before they flower. So people come there and they expect all these flowering fields in nature, and they're not there. So that's disappointing. And then a few tour companies, they pay a few farmers to let them bloom. And then all the
Oh.
tour buses go to those fields, and you're with $200 tourists trying to get your selfie. But the first year, they need to do the quality check. So the bulbs need to flower so they can see if they are healthy. So this is where you have those marketing photos you see on the airline magazine or on TV. And this is where you want to go. It's like an hour and a half away from Amsterdam, and the tour buses won't travel that far. But I take my people there and I show them, and that's where all the Dutch people take their photos, and they have like endless fields of all the
Oh,
colors you can
wow.
imagine. And I think just the combination of those two things on the same day, see that beautiful garden, but it is, like you said, a garden, it's
Right.
landscaped, and then go into the real production fields is just, yeah, it's just you get the whole experience, and people love it, and I love taking them there because this is you cannot get there by train, or so it's really really fun to do. But like you say, you also need to go to that garden because the amount of work that these people
I
put
know.
into it, it's just they work all year. Did you know it's full-time people? They work 12
Yes.
months. It's only open for a few weeks, but
Right.
those people work there all year because they need to then design the new plan. Because every year it's different too. It's never the same. Every year there's a new design, and then there's these groups of people. There are teams, and they have a separate area of the park, and then they first make their drawings, and then they start planting it and or sourcing the bulbs. They need very specific bulbs. It's also, I don't know if you noticed, but it started as a marketing park for the tulip growers, so they could present their varieties and their bulbs to the world to sell them. That's why I also see to this day it's actually still there. So you can see the name, and then you see the grower below it. So you can
Oh,
order or take it
wow.
to your local retailer in the US and say, I saw this tulip and I think it's amazing. Why can I not buy this from you? And then
Right.
they can order it. So that's the whole goal. So the growers also want to have a say, like what do they want to promote that year, like new varieties or new colors, or so it's incredible what they do, and it's so much fun
Yeah,
for
it
me
is.
to. I love coming back there.
It's amazing.
Mm.
So tell us briefly a little bit about some of the other cities or how long people should consider if they want to see more than Amsterdam. You know, are we talking
Right.
A
I
week,
would say like a
10
month.
day.
No, no. No, but definitely considers a little bit more time than you probably would do at the first initial thought when you think about coming here. A lot of people arrive and go on a river cruise, for example. It's a big river cruise departure point, and then people spend an extra day or maybe two in the city. And when I talk to people who did that, they usually regret it because it's not enough time. Amsterdam is packed with things to do. So for the city, at least 3 days. But you get a lot out of it if you also add a few more day trips through that day. If you can make it a full week, it's very easy to fill that with wonderful experiences. And 10 days would still be a very reasonable time to go because that gives you time to. So if you're there for a week, you could do day trips. If you do like 10
Okay.
days or maybe even 2 weeks, if you want to take it a little bit slower, then you can also make another place, another area, another hub like for example, the Rotterdam, The Hague, Delft area with the
Yes.
Kinderdijk windmills. Delft is beautiful. The Hague has a lot of art museums. A lot of people only know the Maurits House because the girl with the pearl earring is there. But then they have the Kunstmuseum, which is the city museum. It has an amazing Mondrian collection, and then you have the Mestdag, which is a 360-degree painting life size of the beach, live from the 1800s. So
Wow.
really, you want to see all of that. Rotterdam is a completely different city with their modern architecture and the harbor, and there's so many tourist attractions. You can take a boat there to the Kinderdijk windmills. So, if you could stay there for 3 days and 2 nights, for example, in Delft, and explore that area, next after Amsterdam, you really do experience the country so much more. Or go to that Van Gogh Museum in a national park. So if you have that time, definitely worth it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Rotterdam is, I did visit
You
Amsterdam,
visited.
Rotterdam.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did. And because in design school, I remember the houses. I think that's the place with all the
Cubicle
different,
houses.
yes, the
Yes.
cubicle houses and the
Yeah.
bridge. And I was just blown away by the architecture in that city. I mean, just completely unexpected and underrated.
Completely unexpected, right?
And I think it's underrated. I think it's still like underrated.
Yes. It really is. It's not a tourist destination, which makes it really wonderful. And there would be also my tip, like you're asking to stay a little bit longer, I take those day trips. For example, the city of Amersfoort is only 30 minutes east of Amsterdam. It's super easy to get there by a train. You just hop on a train, 30 minutes later, you're in that city. I think it's even more beautiful than Amsterdam is. It's older than Amsterdam. It is this picture perfect medieval city center,
Wow.
literally no tourist in it. Just
Wow.
imagine you have the day to explore it and go see it and go to a local bakery and to a market or, look up the city on my website and see what you can do. They have a lot of free information. I love to share. I lived in that city for 17 years.
Oh, you did?
Um,
Oh,
I
wow.
did. And and that's another reason why I created this business. Like, why do people not come here? It
Yeah.
is so pretty. Well, the local Dutch people, it's a very popular destination, but with international visitors, it is not because people always do the same thing and where the tour buses take you. So, yeah, definitely make some time to see a little bit more because it is so easy because this country is so small and you get there so quickly. It's not like in the US, you would have to travel a whole day to get to another city. It's minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also the area, I think it was fascinating to me. I think it's the northern part of the Netherlands, and I could be wrong, where they kind of filled in and made land, and there's a bridge up
Yes.
there and a beach. And I was like, oh my gosh, again, just the engineering feat of kind of making more land. And you could, the road goes there, there's a beach, there were people. I was like, it was totally a different landscape than I expected.
Oh my goodness, April, just that. Yes. It's like nobody gets to see that, but it's so interesting. Just the idea that they created this entire, it's not a small area.
Oh,
It's a whole province that they just created out of the sea because they were out of space. Like the
right.
ingenuity of it and just the way how they could come up with the ideas and then put it into reality and you can be there. It's just so much fun. And there's on this area also the city, maybe you've been there too, Almere. which is one of the newer Dutch cities. It was built for Amsterdam because it was getting to there's not enough space anymore for people to live. So they built Almere, but there's a lot of architecture there. So the architecture tours there. So if architecture is your thing, then Rotterdam, but also Almere is a great destination. Like seeing those bridges and designs. And
Yeah.
there's also this UNESCO World Heritage Area called Schokland, where a former island, which was in the middle of the ocean or the sea, because they closed the whole area off by a big
Yeah.
dike and then created the new land. But you can still see now in the farmland, you can still see the shape of that former island, and they still have the harbor intact and the little church and the house where people lived. And you can visit it now as UNESCO World Heritage Site. Um, Incredible to think, like here, women were standing on the quay looking out at the end of the week to see if their husbands would return from a fishing
Right.
trip after 5 days being on a rough sea. And now you look at cows grazing in the field at the
Yeah.
same place. It's just mind boggling. And it's just, you can only experience that from just being there and standing there. So, I love taking people there on my tours, but also just making the time yourself to see those things really make your trip so much different. There is really a lot more than Amsterdam,
Yeah,
for sure. Oh
definitely.
my goodness. This is
Talk
like the
a
hardest interview because I need to talk about the thing I love so much.
No, it's that's what I love is hearing when someone is so passionate about sharing unique places past just what the rest of the world the guidebook promotes. And like you said, same with Amsterdam. If you just stick to what the main guidebooks, you're going to miss all the little
Oh,
hidden gem places to eat and where the locals are actually hanging out.
and
And
there's so many. Yeah, absolutely, you're right. Missing the little courtyards. In Amsterdam, you have these little courtyards that are behind regular street doors. So if you just walk the street, you won't see it. But if you
right.
know where they are, you open the door, which is publicly accessible. You just need to know there's not a sign pointing people there. They don't want like a million tourists in there. But if you
No.
know it's there, you can go in there and you can go see it. So those kind of like going to a local restaurant where the menu is in Dutch, so you need your Google Translate to figure
Right.
out what
Yeah.
it is. But the food is probably going to be a whole lot better than those places that have English menus. All of these little things, yeah, it just makes it takes your trip to a completely different level.
And talk a little bit about the food, because honestly, when I went to Amsterdam, the food really surprised me because I don't know what I expected, but
Uh
there's a
huh.
lot of fresh food, the bakeries, the fish, the way they prepare foods. I was really, I can taste it now because it was just really good.
Oh my, I love hearing this because the one thing that is a stigma in the Netherlands or a thing people say is that food is terrible. That's not why you
Right.
come. And I do not agree with that. So I'm very happy you feel the same way. Um, it is, by the way, I hope you can cut this out in the recording because we have really bad weather right now with thunderstorms. So I hope it's not going to interrupt us.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll keep
Uh,
our fingers crossed.
okay,
Yeah.
fingers crossed. Sorry, the food, Dutch food. Yeah, like I said, it's so underrated, and I think it's very surprising. And I love to tell people about Dutch food. We are known for all kinds of snacks that are very particular, but really in a good way, but they're really Dutch. And if people find them, they're like, "Oh my goodness, this is so good!" But also, like I say, the food, the fish. We also because it's we are a small country with a lot of immigrants. It's almost like a city like LA or New York with lots of
Yeah.
influences from outside. So we have all these restaurants. You can try restaurants from every country in the world, which I find incredibly exciting. And then also our own Dutch heritage because we have a colonial past. So the Netherlands was for a very long time occupying Indonesia and Suriname. And all of these influences came to the Netherlands because, that traveled the food and it became
Right.
part of Dutch cuisine. So, it's very hard in the world to find Indonesian food, but in the Netherlands, it's super easy. There are amazing restaurants in Amsterdam, and The Hague is the city for Indonesian food because most of the people move there.
Oh, okay.
So there's amazing food experience there, but in Amsterdam too, Suriname food uh, is really wonderful too. You can find many places in Amsterdam to try that. So I think the food is really exciting, and I think it's not fair that we have this idea about we just eat vegetables, potatoes,
Yeah.
and a meatball because
Right. Yeah.
it's a lot more exciting than that. And even those meals, if prepared right, if you go to these really old traditional Dutch restaurants,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's very tasty actually in during the winter when it's colder and have a hearty meal. So
But the
yeah, I
fish,
would say the food is exciting and the fish also. Yeah, we are a fishing nation,
and I'm trying to think what those little fish are, but that's kind of popular, isn't it? Like they put it on a bun or um, I don't know. I don't. They were like,
we have a few that popular. I think the most famous, and I think that's what you're talking about, it's kibbeling. Could that be it? It's a fried,
mm,
it's almost like fish and chips, but then small bite pieces, and it's
there's
differently
that,
seasoned.
but then
But
there's
there's
also like really
the
fresh.
herring.
Yes, the herring with the lemon, and it's just really
Yeah,
fresh, and it's just really good. I mean, a lot of
with
people don't.
onions and pickles,
Yes,
and it's a particular flavor. Not everybody loves it, but I would say try it at least
yeah, you got to
because I
try
think it's
it.
very creamy and wonderful. And then also eel paling is also a very Dutch fish on a sandwich to eat, and it's also very buttery and creamy and really wonderful. It's smoked. The herring is raw, but that sometimes puts people off. But if you go, for example, to the open air museum in Enkhuizen, which I think is the best open air museum there is, we have a few of them, but Enkhuizen is really wonderful, and it's about an hour north of Amsterdam by train, and it's all about fishing life and how people lived around the sea,
Yeah,
and they have this smokehouse there where they smoke herring and salmon. Oh my goodness, I can go every day.
yeah,
It's
that
so
is so
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of we have this wonderful snacks. A stroopwafel nowadays, a caramel waffle is very well known. It traveled the world. It's not as special anymore. But then we have these pastries like the tompoes and these cookies, gevulde koek. I have a whole post if you want to, because the pronunciation, of course, is terrible. You can never remember those things. But I wrote a post about the 50 Dutch foods you should try.
Oh,
Google it and you will find it. And I put them all out there. It's there's a lot to discover for
I love
sure.
that. I love, yeah, when you go and travel, I think food really adds to the experience and
Yeah.
getting a local experience and just trying it. You got to say you tried it once, then you can decide it,
Right?
don't
It's
just,
not for me.
right.
Yeah.
Don't just stick
Pea
with,
soup, really good during winter with smoked sausage. Yeah, just
ooh,
try it.
yeah.
I remember my travels personally. And when I go, I remember what I ate. I can
Yes,
not, and then the memories come back of what I did. But it's always food first.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So
No, Netherlands won't disappoint.
what are some other tips or misconceptions you think travelers have about Holland? You've touched on a few of them, I know.
Hmm. So yeah, the most important one is they think you can do it very quickly because it's small. I think a lot of people also think Amsterdam is the whole country. But I think the biggest misconception, we didn't really touch about that, but there is almost like the country's kind of cut in four, if you would simplify it. And north and south is cut by the rivers. And the north is a very different culture. In the north, I would say Amsterdam is also included in there. But then if you go south to like Maastricht or Den Bosch, those cities, it's almost a vacation feel to it. It's almost like you're in France already. It's a lot more
Yeah,
joie de vivre, and the food, it's more longer time in the restaurant and more elaborate meals. It's a completely different experience. So just knowing that and schedule 2 days in Maastricht. Amazing and completely different. Then also East and West. So the Netherlands, we think about, well, I don't, but people that come think about the Netherlands as flat, green,
right.
windmills, cows, wooden shoes, tulips. That's kind of the idea, right?
Right.
Um, but that's only half of the country. It's kind of the country that's below sea level that we build all those dikes for, because otherwise everything will float, would
Right.
would be underwater. But then from Amersfoort and east, you're above sea level, and that's where the forest begins. That's where we have the fall foliage that people never come for, and we have these
Yeah.
beautiful national parks, and even some hills start to appear, and that's an area completely undiscovered. So if you want to see a really different Netherlands, um, that's a really wonderful area to explore and go to these old Hanseatic cities that you have along the IJssel River up north. And you have, again, a completely different vacation. So I think that's a misconception that we're all flat and all cows because we're
Yeah.
definitely not. We are around Amsterdam, but if you venture out a little bit further, you will see something else.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. So, what are your last tips if people are considering using your services for either planning to do it on their own or joining one of their tours? Are there some things they should prepare for before they chat with you? What do you have for that?
I hate to put myself out there like you need to book a call with me or else, but it does really help. Is what everybody tells me. And what I would do is book a call with me before you actually book your trip, if at all possible, because a lot of the time it's the opposite. And then when we start to explore, like where do we go, we are already limited by flights and dates. And then some people feel disappointed that they didn't have more time. So yeah, if you can do the call with me before you book, you would probably it would fit better with your goals for the trip. So that would
Right.
be my tip number one. It also really helps if you already have an idea. You don't need to have a full itinerary because I can help there. But it's kind of important to know why do you want to visit this country? In the first place attracted you to it?
Yeah.
Because the more you give me about your interest and things that you say, okay, this would be something amazing to see, the more I can work with and create something that you're really happy about. So that's what I would definitely say. And if you're not ready to book a call with me yet, then my website, hiddenholland.com, if I can plug it like that,
Yes,
um,
do.
has
Yeah.
so much free information. So just go on there and start learning about place for day trips and other cities and food recommendations and what types of snacks and we just the things we just talked about food wise, like what are they? You can get a lot there. And if it feels overwhelming, then it's a really good time to book the call because then I can, make it a lot shorter and you don't need to read through all these articles and we can really zoom in directly on your trip and your yeah, goals and needs and make it personal. The other tip I would definitely give if you have that time is to book early
Yes.
or start researching early because there is this over tourism issue. So, for example, I just had a consultation call with people that are coming next month and it was really, and they also had a lot of limitations on accommodations for health reasons, and it was for them it was very hard to still find something and it's not enough time, 4 weeks, especially. So, of course, if you only have 4 weeks, then that's what we work with. But if
Right.
you have more time, you can probably find places that are better suited. Um, and things are sold out. I also had this couple that want to go to the Van Gogh Museum. It was a dream of theirs, and it was already sold out. And they were like, "Yeah,
Wow.
but it's still a month ahead." I said, "Yeah, but it does sell out." So yeah,
Yeah,
if you have the
right.
time, make sure this is not a last minute. This should not be a last minute trip for most people.
Oh, that's excellent information.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I
Because
would say.
definitely, I think sometimes people do, they see those flight deals pop up and they're like, oh, I'll just
Right? Yeah.
book it last minute. And I think we're hearing about some places being over touristed, but I'm not sure we're as aware that somewhere, even like Amsterdam, is over tourist.
Right, we
Museums
hear
are,
about Barcelona and
yes,
Venice and things like that, right? But
right.
it's also
Yeah.
Amsterdam. If you get a flight deal like that and want to come, do, because especially if you know a little bit more about the country after listening to our conversation, and you go to
Yes.
these other places, you go to Rotterdam, you go to Amersfoort, you can book things the day before. So that's a great vacation for a last minute trip and really go with an open mind and learn something new. Go to that land that you just described with the bridges and
Yes.
the new land, because that's available. But if it is a lifetime idea for you to see the tulips and to see the night watch in Rio and to go to the Van Gogh Museum, if it is a bucket list item, it also needs to be treated like that and give it plenty of time to make sure you're gonna see all of it. And you have enough time to see it and enjoy it. So yeah, it's like two different types of travel. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
good to
agree.
realize that. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So, Garrett, tell everyone where your website is so that they can get on that call with you, because that is an excellent tip to talk to you first. If you've listened to this episode, you offer those consultation calls because that may shape, how many days before you're locked in. And again, some of us, based on work, we are limited. Maybe we only have
Yeah.
these days. And by all means, then still call Garrett because he'll help you make the most of those days because
Maybe that's even more important then, because then I can
right.
really make sure that you're not going to be like, well, that was okay.
Yeah,
If you
yes.
only have 3 or 4 days, every minute should be special. And the biggest mistake people start doing when they have limited time, what I experience, is that they try to pack in as much as possible. Well, if you do the opposite, you come back with the best memories. And that's where I can really help you to really say, you know what? If your goal is see art and I'm going to make sure you know exactly the rooms and the order and the times to
Right.
go, so you're going to actually see that. You're not going to lose valuable time. This is how you get there. Find this is accommodation I would recommend, or an area for accommodation, because it's right near the things you want to see.
Right.
For somebody else, that's another area in the city, because they want to see those things.
Right.
And really don't feel like you need to do it all. And I can help both ways. I can really help fine tuning it and get right to what's important. And I can also really help if you have more time to explore things that nobody else who went to Amsterdam saw on their trip. And you have a really unique travel. So and I can even do that if you have 3 days.
Yep.
We can also do one day trip that's going to be very special. So yes, and of course, a call is also not always for everybody, and you don't need to book it. But I really want to help you if you can, and if you want to go to my website, hiddenholland.com. Then on the right top, you see Get My Help. And that's where my offers are and the things that I can do for you. And next to it is also Get on a Tour with me. And that's where I describe my private tour. So those would be the two buttons to click to find out about what I do. And please also explore the rest of the website, or get on the newsletter and get a lot of free tips and information I would love to share.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Garrett.
Thank you.